But again, we're not having statewide lockdowns, we're not having citywide lockdowns, because people have gone and done what we asked them to do.
Today we also learned about the absurdly titled Public Health and Wellbeing Amendment Bill, which could also see Victorians caught breaching health orders, including those who fail to wear a mask, thrown in jail for up to 2 years.
This government, this Premier, is not just drunk on power, they are abusing it.
I'm actually a two-spirit, new-choice, pan-gender penguin. And how dare you tell me I can't identify as that?
Welcome, everybody, to the New Flesh podcast, the podcast you deserve. My name is Jonathan Asher. With me is Ricky Allpark. Ricky, what is up?
I'm here, and I'm going to be talking Melbourne again.
I thought you were going to say I'm queer. and I was
I'm here, and I'm queer.
Finally.
Okay?
Finally. Now. Okay, all right.
Now, I have been criticised by some friends and family members that maybe I'm getting a little bit too obsessed by the situation here in Melbourne. But,
not your wife?
Maybe.
I was not your kid. It's only a couple of people. So.
Yes. Right. No, well, some people have mentioned that it's a bit much, but I have to talk about this particular development here in Victoria, in the city of Melbourne.
What's going on?
So there are new proposed pandemic laws that are coming in that I think should fill every Victorian with dread, and that's why I'm talking about it here. So I'm talking about the Public Health and Wellbeing Amendment to the Pandemic Management Bill of 2021. So basically, this is an amendment to I guess the emergency powers around health emergencies and that sort of thing. So basically, this amendment to the Pandemic Management Bill will put Daniel Andrews in the driver's seat to declare lockdowns and jail people who break those lockdowns. And this announcement came just 4 days after he said, and this is a direct quote from a press conference, "We're not having statewide lockdowns, we're not having citywide lockdowns because people have gone and done what we've asked them to do." So just 4 days later, this amendment's popped up.
But I don't even understand that quote. I heard that quote that he said. I don't understand the quote. He says, because of course people did what you said. You made it unlawful, you fucking idiot.
That's part of the spin that Daniel Andrews is putting on now, which is, you know, congratulations, Victoria, you've done it. You've held in there. You've done such a great job. You've done what we've asked you to do. No, actually, we've done what you forced us to do.
This is like your dominatrix, like taking out the ball gag and taking you out of the little horrible, torture chamber she's got you, and then saying, "Oh, you did so well, my beautiful baby boy."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's grim. And I just hope people kind of see through that spin. I don't think they do, but they fucking well should, And here is a little breakdown of what these new powers are gonna give the government. Okay, so they're moving so that the health minister, not the chief health officer, would be the one making the COVID rules. Okay, the premier, not the parliament, gets the authority to extend the powers. So currently what Daniel Andrews has to do is he has to go to Parliament and he has to basically apply for emergency powers, and the Parliament has to sign off on that. And then I think it's like a rolling 3-month thing. Yeah, exactly. What a drag. So what that essentially does is it gives him an indefinite period of emergency if he wants it, Individuals could face fines of up to $90,000 for non-compliance to health orders, $21,000 alone for failing to wear a face mask. Under these laws, citizens could be detained, arrested, movement restricted. They could be forced to undergo medical examination, forced to get tested. And some of the reasons why they state is if you're part of an existing group, so that seems to target anti-vaxxers. So they can look at someone and go, well, your political view is that vaccines shouldn't be mandated, therefore you're an anti-vaxxer, therefore, we're going to have to test you to see if you've got the virus. That's a little bit of a confusing one for me in the amendment, that they can sort of go after people based on their beliefs.
Yeah, well, I watched the Peter Credlin report you sent, and she mentioned that they can include political beliefs or personal beliefs, which is, that's scary. That should seem scary to a lot of people because, I mean, I know that the Orwell stuff is sort of, people feel it's a bit played out, perhaps. We talk about Orwell too much, but, that really is like precognition stuff. You can't really pretend, you can't really know what's in someone's, heart and mind. Not really. And this, I mean, it's just to me so outrageous that they're going down that path.
That's right. Yeah. Just on fines again, companies that break COVID rules will face a fine of up to $425,000. This bill also gives the government the powers to retrospectively jail the recent anti-lockdown protesters for 2 years.
Oh, great. Good. Good. Productive. Yeah,
it just that one there really strikes me as Daniel Andrews. He's got this sort of spite streak to him. It's like he's spiteful.
That is because those protests, for better or worse, they're over. They're done with. Moving on. Let's move on with opening up, and what happened. And to be able to to sit back and say, it's like, as you say, spiteful. It's like he's sitting back saying, like, he's really pissed off. He's like, how dare they? How dare they go against me?
Yeah. And so these measures can be applied even if there is only a potential for a pandemic. He can also apply this even if there are no cases as well. So Andrews needs the support of just 3 crossbench senators here. So from the Reason Party, the Animal Justice Party, and the Greens. Oh, no. And what I've heard is that it's already a done deal. I mean, those 3 crossbench senators were all in on giving Andrews emergency powers all through the pandemic. What I don't get is, why does he need these additional powers? First of all, after saying on Friday that there'll no longer be any lockdowns, basically implying that we will never lock down again. And the powers that he already had for the past 2 years are already extraordinary, like he's been able to deploy Victoria's riot police in suburban streets, using rubber bullets on protesters. There's been tens of millions of dollars in petty fines issued. There have been restrictions that we've not even seen in wartime. There's been curfews. There's been radius limits on how far you can leave your house. These sorts of powers are being entrenched and unchecked, and this just takes it even further. I don't understand why he needs these additional powers.
Absolutely, it seems superfluous if you're to believe what he's saying. You know what I mean? And rather frighteningly, no one seems to care.
That's right. Yeah, no one seems to care about it. And the other interesting thing is he's been developing this bill since March this year. So this is the first we've heard about it. Apparently, he's been quite secretive that they've been doing this. But I feel like instead of working on this thing since March, how about you work on, like, you're failing in contact tracing, or you're failing to get the vaccine rollout proper. I mean, people just could not get booked in for a vaccine even if they wanted to, and I had this big problem of trying to find a place where I could get vaccinated. And I even contemplated traveling 4 hours into regional Victoria just to get vaccinated because there was a clinic out there that had some spare vaccines, which is, fucking crazy, Just on the issue of moving powers away from the chief health officer and to the health minister, I actually agree that the final stamp of approval on health orders should move away from the chief health officer because he or she is not an elected official and cannot be voted out. But I think the issue is that this legislation bypasses the representative democracy. It bypasses parliamentary scrutiny and leaves the sole power to one individual. I throughout the pandemic, I thought, who is this Brett Sutton guy to tell us what to do? He's not been elected. He should just be providing his advice to the health minister, and the health minister should be putting his job and his name on the line by rolling out these orders. I think governments in Australia have been willing to hide behind the chief health officer and to just throw their hands up and say, we're just following the advice. It's not my fault. Don't vote me out at the next election. It's not my fault. We're just following the health advice, which is just the wrong way to do things,
Yes, Melbourne is in a real mess, and as I say, no one seems to care, and it seems to be a perpetual Labor government in Victoria. What I don't understand about this particular thing is, presumably, Andrews is sort of acting like that Labor's going to be in power forever. Like, these things he's enacting, would he be happy for the Liberals to have that same power? Do you know what I mean? Like, 20 years ago, we couldn't imagine the coronavirus. 20 years before that, we couldn't imagine the terrorism stuff, like we couldn't, because if you remember 20 years ago, the issue was this sort of crazy laws about sedition. You weren't allowed to sort of gather in groups. You know what I mean? Like, there were certain crazy anti-terror laws that people brought in, and now that's sort of a bit passé. Now it's the coronavirus. Like, is Daniel Andrews going to be happy when eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, when a Liberal government gets in Victoria, with wielding this elements of this legislation in ways that he hasn't really thought about? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, what it's going to be the next thing. I don't know what it is, but it'll be the next thing, and they're going to use, just like in America, the way they're using the Patriot Act to this day. You know what I mean? To do whatever the fuck they want. This is the kind of stuff that they're just going to ram through without any forethought. And what's wrong with transparency? Why are they trying to get back to Parliament, publicise everything, make everything transparent? If you're so proud of what you're saying, like if you're so happy with that everyone seems to support it, well, then just get it all out there in a way that people can understand, and then put your name on it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, Liberal Senator Tim Smith, he was talking to Virginia Trioli on ABC radio mornings here in Melbourne, I think yesterday or the day before, and she was really attacked because his stance was we want the government to have to come back every 30 days to reapply for these emergency powers every 30 days, and that the Parliament has to look at it. The Parliament assesses it, and, all the elected people in Parliament have to decide. And her response was, that's ridiculous. How, in an emergency, how could you possibly ask to go in every 30 days and reapply? That's just not workable. That's just not going to happen. Well, I tell you what, like, that's democracy. That is how things should run, because things will get out of control and power is going to be abused.
And Virginia, it's not I know it's not popular, but someone needs to keep a cool head to deal with the day that we don't need that shit anymore. So she's thinking about the height of the pandemic, like March last year or whatever, where it was chaos, which is, and fair enough. But what about this era that we're entering into now, where it's endemic? Aren't we getting into that period like after the war that Lord Sumption was talking about on that podcast? He talked about how people had to have ID cards for years after. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there should have been some system where it was like, oh, we're going to renew that every 6 months or whatever, and then eventually it'll be we won't renew it, and these powers every 30 days, because we're going to get to the point where we've got vaccines, we've got pills, we've got whatever else we've got new COVID sort of regulations here and there that we're sort of doing our best, but then we don't need the rubber bullets anymore. We don't need all that stuff, so we're going to sunset that, because once you sign something, as I mentioned, the Patriot Act, once you make it, it's never going away. That bill has been rubber stamped by presidents left and right in America. You know what I mean? Bang. Why the fuck wouldn't Obama want it? Bang. Done.
Yeah. Once these things are in, they're very hard to reel back. Once you give up certain freedoms, governments, they're very reluctant to give them back. But Matthew Guy, the opposition leader here in Victoria, has come out to say that if he is elected at the next election, which is happening in November next year, that this will be the first thing he'll do. He'll repeal this. That's if it gets through.
You told me about someone, not to talk about stuff we talked about off air, but you told me you spoke to someone about this issue, and they were just shrugging and saying, "I don't care about it." Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
Well, that's shocking. That's truly shocking. Do you know what I mean?
There are people that have had such a bad time here in Victoria over the last 2 years that are considering moving, and that this is the final straw. Like, I've got another friend who is actually now looking for where is she going to live that's not in Victoria, what's she going to do in say New South Wales? I think is probably where she might end up. I think that's just a really sad position to be in, that that people feel so let down and so betrayed by the government, that they will seek another place to live, like a fucking refugee or something, And the thing is, like, we pay for the politicians. They work for us, They're supposed to be fulfilling a function for us, not the other way around, which is just seems like the way it's been running here in Victoria for the longest time. Like, Well,
what's so weird is forget the spectrum of left and right for a second. What's so weird about Melbourne is that it's not Andrews's leftism, because obviously I'm centre left, identify centre left, so I should love all that. The problem is his authoritarianism. That's the problem. He's become sort of drunk on power, and it's the same in the West with Mark McGowan, the other premier. Yeah, like these guys are obsessed with these new powers they have. They're obsessed with being on the telly. They're obsessed with being known and all the memes, and it becomes. I kind of want the PM, whoever the fuck it is, to rein all these fucking people in.
Yeah.
And take back the power and say, you know what, like, you guys don't run the country, and you can't just make up mad dumb rules. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think the authoritarianism is truly shocking, and it just happened bit by bit, and it's so strange that Andrews gets to hold on to his sort of his veneer of seeming like the person who cares the most. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like that because that's what the left has always had, is this idea, we care the most.
Yeah.
We care the most. We're the caring party. The other people don't care.
Yeah, we're keeping you safe. Yeah.
And you go, well, I guess that's the thing. It's so strange. His actions, like the videos I've seen of like, as I say, people with mental illness and, all sorts of people in strife, just getting beaten up by the cops. Do you know what I mean? Roughed up and arrested and whatnot. People being dragged out of their homes. People being shot with rubber bullets. Massive fines. Lives destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm shocked that this guy has been able to hold on to his reputation as being someone who cares about people.
Yeah. And the thing with a lot of those anti-lockdown protesters, like, I get frustrated with people that just call them idiots, or call them anti-vaxxers, or people that just want they just want grannies to die, all that sort of shit. It's like there's such a lack of compassion for those people. If you're willing to go out on the streets and basically battle riot police, like, you must be in a really bad situation. You're not sitting at home in your pajamas having a great time, like getting up late, checking in with your Zoom meeting, doing a few emails. Oh, then I might bake some muffins today. Oh, I'll come back to the computer. Like,
I might watch Squid Game later.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, it gives me a little bit more time to do this and that. And isn't it great? I get to have lunch with my wife every day and blah blah blah. Like.
So it's a nice little holiday. It's good to get away. Sort of a bit of a staycation.
Staycation, yeah, that's right. Staycation. I mean, you're just assuming that everybody has this sort of comfortable managerial class job, and middle class lifestyle. You're pretty comfortable. You haven't lost your job. You're not losing any money. Like, you've got all this extra time to get down with the family and. I mean, a lot of people don't have that. And they're the kinds of people that are going to take to the streets because they're in a really bad way. I think we should be showing a little bit more compassion for people that are struggling with these sorts of things,
Well, watch this space, Ricky. I don't think you're crazy. I think you're taking it seriously, and it's like the body snatchers, and everyone else is just saying nothing to see here. So,
well, speaking of nothing to see here, I went on a bit of a excursion on Friday, Freedom Friday, as it was last Friday here in Melbourne. It's the day that you could finally move further out of your radius. Like, there is no radius anymore, and you can go anywhere except regional. You can't go regional. You've got to stay in the metro.
Well, let's not get carried away.
Let's not get carried away there,
Anything could happen.
Anything can happen out there in those regions. So I thought I would head out to the CBD and see what the vibe was on Freedom Friday, thinking it might be, I don't want to say party atmosphere, but at least a bit of a buzz. And I was wrong. There was no buzz.
No.
I headed out with my portable recorder, and I tried to get a sense of what was happening on the streets. I tried to interview a bunch of people. Didn't go so well, but I've created a little compilation here of my time out. I'm calling it Ricky's Day Out, and I'm going to play that for you now. Hey everybody, this is your boy Ricky coming at you from the Melbourne CBD. I'll be out and about today, chatting with a few people to get their opinions on Melbourne's Freedom Friday. Yeah, awesome. So it's a great day today in Melbourne. It's nice and sunny. Are you enjoying the weather?
Absolutely. I mean, you couldn't ask for any better. What is it, 24, 25 today? Been a long time coming, hasn't it? Well,
yep.
262 days.
Yep.
As you can tell, I'm originally from the UK. I've not been back there for a long time, but
yep.
I'm just going to stay here and see the summer out now and enjoy it.
Yep. So are you trapped here in Australia?
A little bit, yeah. In some ways. It has felt that way.
Yep.
But I might as well just see the summer out now.
Yeah.
Victorians have done really well.
Yeah, and how do you think the Victorian government's fared, I guess, compared to other governments in Australia?
Yeah, good question. To be honest, I think they were a bit slack and slow with the vaccine rollout in the first place. Probably should have gone down the route of what the UK did. You know, gone hard and fast with the vaccine rollout and then opened up earlier. Shame to see a lot of the hospitality has probably been hit hard by it, but I think compared to a lot of the economies around the world, Australia's always bounced back anyway.
Yeah.
So, in respect to that, I think Melbourne will do okay.
One thing I've been frustrated by is that every state has kind of done their own thing. How do you see that situation? Do you think there should be a national approach?
Well, it has been annoying. What I did was with a few months ago, I moved to Queensland, and then it didn't quite work out for me up there. So in respect to that, I think they should have just done it as an Australian thing. It's what does annoy me about this country a bit, because it's the same like when you move there and say want to sell your car or something. They should all have one rule for all, rather than having all these different rules that are just all mixed up.
Well, it's a podcast called The New Flesh, and it's a Melbourne-based. Well, I'm Melbourne-based, and my co-host is Sydney-based, and we sort of talk about current topics and cultural issues and that sort of thing.
Sorry, just what kind of slant is the podcast?
We'd like to say we're sort of centre leftists, yeah.
Okay,
for sure, yeah.
So you're not like anti-lockdown?
We have a critical view on the balance between lockdowns and civil liberties and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're not advocating for letting it rip, so to speak. You know, we definitely think there should be measures in place. Yeah.
I'm just happy. That's really all. I mean, I don't really have anything.
Yeah.
To say.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No.
Enjoy your day.
No. I hope it goes well.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm out here on the corner of Collins Street and Swanston Street here in the heart of Melbourne, and I got to say, it's fucking dead. Like, you know, I mean, there's a bit of foot traffic, people milling around. Obviously, you can hear the trams and the traffic, but overall, it's quite a depressing sight. You know, of course, the homeless people are out in droves, and you know, there are a lot of places that are for lease that have shut down, so that's another depressing thing. But I'm going to push on, and I'm going to see if I can find a few more people that want to answer a few questions about Freedom Friday. My name's Ricky. I run a podcast called The New Flesh. Have you heard of us?
No.
Okay. I'm out and about today, just getting a few reactions from people on the street, seeing how they're liking today and how they feel about it all. So you enjoying today?
Yeah, I feel like not much has really changed really though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty good thing I would actually travel a little bit further.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys work or you study or?
Just working and studying both at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. How's the lockdown sort of impacted that? You've been online mostly?
Yeah, it's been online. It's actually been not too bad. You get to wake up a bit later.
Yeah, I guess there are perks to everything, I guess, yeah. I was talking to a few young people on my travels, and I feel as though like young people have borne the brunt, I guess, of the lockdown measures more than, say, you know, other older people that are maybe more established in careers and have already done their study and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, do you think Australia should sort of pay it up to the youth a little bit more and, you know, give thanks, say thank you?
A bit, yeah. I don't know. I don't really have any strong opinion.
No, you haven't thought about it?
No, not really.
Okay. Sure. All right. Well, enjoy your day, guys. It's a nice sunny one. So, yeah, hopefully you guys have lunch somewhere and have a good time. Okay, so I'm walking down the iconic Burke Street Mall here in Melbourne. It's one of the main shopping precincts in the CBD. It's dead. It's dead, just like most parts of the CBD I've travelled to today. Retail is not yet open, so hospitality is open, but for some reason retail is not. So a lot of closed up shops. You know, people milling around a little bit, having lunch and talking on their phones or scrolling on their phones. Not much else is really happening. It's just a really weird vibe, you know. I just feel like it's kind of a pathetic, tired vibe. It's hard to explain, but definitely not the vibrant city that I remember pre-lockdown. Hi, how you doing?
Good, Colin, yourself?
Yeah, you enjoying the sunshine?
Oh, yeah, can't complain.
Yeah. My name's Ricky. I run a podcast called the New Flesh Podcast. I'm just out and about getting reactions of people on the streets, see what they think of everything.
Be the best to get.
Why's that?
Oh, no reason.
No reason?
I'm gone.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm a bit further along here on Burke Street, and I've noticed that the Kmart here has actually taken a lot of its clothing racks and put them out on the sidewalk here, and are doing outdoor retail, which is something that the Andrews government has said people can do. I never thought that a company or a store would go to the effort of doing this, but especially one as big as Kmart that has a big click and collect sort of online shopping experience going on. So it's strange, and there are quite a lot of people here perusing the wares that they have on sale. So really interesting. I'm going to see if I can try and talk to some people.
How you going?
Yeah, good mate.
Good. What are you up to?
Oh, just having a look around. Yeah, couldn't imagine that Kmart would be doing the outdoor shopping thing.
Yeah, no, I was submitted the permit the other day.
Yeah. It's I don't know, because you guys.
From the council, yeah.
Sorry?
You're from the council?
No, my name's Ricky. I run a podcast called The New Flesh. I'm just out and about today, just getting a few reactions from people about Freedom Day. And
are you with that guy?
No, I'm not with that guy. Okay. I don't know who that guy is. Howdy, mate. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you enjoying Freedom Day?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. We go outside and we have a queue on the haircut. We want to cut our hair. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, you get a haircut. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah. I've had to learn how to cut my own hair.
Yeah, no, not easy.
No, it's not really.
Especially for little ones.
Yeah. Well, my 3-year-old son, he won't stand still.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
So you doing some shopping here today, Kmart?
My wife is coming to shop some.
So have you been able to get your little one into childcare or anything during the pandemic? Or?
No, because we are an international student here.
Okay.
Yeah, and we cannot, because we don't have an essential work here. They said no, you are not eligible to. Yeah.
Has that been tough?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially when we have more, because we have 3, not only this one. We have one in grade 6 and one in grade 4. And all the time home, especially school, homeschooling, it's so hard home.
Yes, definitely. And you've had to work from home at the same time?
No, we don't have work because we are sponsored students.
Oh, of course, students, yeah. So how about the study though? That's been online?
Yeah, that's right. My wife, she's doing her PhD at RMIT University, you know.
Oh, excellent, great.
Yeah, that's right. I'm already graduated from Melbourne Uni. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
what's she studying?
Mine, science.
Yeah. And your wife?
PhD in statistics.
There you go.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Well, how long have you been in Australia for?
Since 2012.
Okay, so you've been here for like the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
And how do you think Melbourne's sort of handled the COVID situation with restrictions?
The good thing they seeking for the safety for the people. That's good, but it's so tough for people to be in home all the time, especially at night, and we cannot, especially for us, because we don't have a family here, you know. all the time being home and we cannot catching any people outside. Yeah, that's right. What we have to do? This around the world. This pandemic, not only in Melbourne. Yeah.
For sure. Have you been vaccinated?
Yeah, double.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Me and my wife. Too.
Yeah, great. I had my second one this morning, actually.
Really good.
Yeah. Hello. Excellent. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
And yeah, enjoy your day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. How are you?
No, thank you.
No. Okay. Hello. How are you? No. Who are you with? I run a podcast called The New Flesh. No. Just out and about, getting some reactions. People, they're enjoying Freedom Friday. All right. No worries. One thing I will say about trying to get people to talk to me is everyone's very reluctant to do so. Yeah, it's quite strange. I'm trying to go for sort of an average Joe and an average Jane to get their opinions, you know, but no one's really that interested in talking to me. This is hard work. I'm here at the iconic De Graves Lane in the Melbourne CBD. This is a sort of very hipster cafe strip where people come and sort of sit in the laneways and have coffee and have some food. There are a bunch of places that are just boarded up and just aren't here anymore. Just walking past a retail place that's now gone, and there's a bunch of places that look like that they're still running, but they're closed. Yeah, again, very strange. This place is usually just pumping, you know. I don't know if it has anything to do with staffing issues or what, but yeah, a bit depressing to see again. Yeah, it's been tough to try and get people talking to me. Everyone's really reluctant, but I'll see how I go. It'd be nice to hear if what brought people out to the CBD, you know. So what did you make of my time out on the streets, John?
Well, it was you know, pretty much what I thought it was going to be. Like, you know, I'm surprised you were so shocked that you know, people, that it was a downer. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was never going to be good. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it had everything. There was suspicion of you. There was, like, you know, sort of annoyance. You know, that sounded like you had it was really tough.
It was really tough. No one, well, virtually no one was prepared to talk to me. Some people, well, there were a few people that were generous enough to chat with me, and they were foreigners, actually, a guy from the UK and another guy, I think was from somewhere in India.
I thought that was really interesting that the new Australians, you know, were the people to talk to you, you know, whereas the hot under the collar chick who's like, you know, what's your political slant?
Yeah. No, she didn't want to talk to me at all.
What the fuck does that matter? Like, you know, like.
Yeah, I tried really hard just to get people's ideas and responses. Like, I wasn't going out to attack anyone or find people that loved Dan Andrews or to find people that were anti-vaxxers or anything like that. Like,
they're worried. The younger people are worried that they're going to end up on a PragerU video.
Yeah, probably.
You know? Or a Rebel News. That Avi's going to be hiding behind a wall somewhere watching, you know?
But he seems to get a lot of people talking to him, you know, like.
Well, he's the lifer, man. Like, and we don't see what he doesn't put on there. He would get a lot of knockbacks, obviously.
Yeah,
he's just a lot more prolific and so bold. He doesn't give a fuck. He was in the IDF, for goodness sakes. He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. I got to say, it is very hard to approach people, especially, you know, I approached people that didn't look like they wanted to be approached as well, you know, because it's hard to tell because no one looked like they wanted to be approached. You know, everyone was head down, scrolling in their phone or just, I don't know, just like hanging around, not with no real purpose and.
But Melbourne's not, I got to be real. Melbourne's never been a warm city.
Well, it's had a buzz though.
Oh, it's had a buzz, but it's not a tip of the hat. How's your day, sir?
Well, I would argue that is an Australian thing. Like I've heard criticisms from travelers and tourists and people that have come from other countries that it's very hard to make friends in Australia.
And it's like, where did you live? And they're like, oh, Sydney and Melbourne. You go, well, come on, they're big metropolitan cities. You're not going to make any friends there.
True, but even the idea of having a conversation with someone without an agenda. You know, so I once, this is years ago now, talked to a Chilean guy who didn't know him at all, just met him in a cafe somewhere, just struck up a conversation with him. And he was saying that it's very hard just to do this, to have a conversation with someone in a cafe or something and that be that, you know, like Australians are very suspicious that, you know, that person is going to want to get your phone number, want to be your friend, going to maybe want to date you, or, you know, it's just a social interaction, you know, and that's a very European thing too, you know, like when I traveled through Europe, France, Italy, like you could just go for a drink somewhere in the afternoon and chat to someone you didn't know and just leave it at that, you know, but it seems very hard to do that in Australia. We're very suspicious of people that want to chat to us. And
especially someone with a Zoom recorder asking them about Daniel Andrews.
True, but it is interesting that the you know, the guy from the UK and the Indian guy, like they, maybe because they are new Australians and maybe they are a little bit more plugged into the political situation here, because maybe, you know, they've seen a different political situation in another country, you know, whether good or bad, and they can't help but compare those two things. And, you know, I think Australians are very apathetic, you know. I don't know. I guess I had this romantic idea that people would at least be a bit upbeat, you know.
Well, tell me the fantasy of what you thought it was going to be. Tell me.
Well, I wanted it to be like Norway. Like Norway opened up and it was like a fucking party, you know.
like you know, you're walking down the street and like the people are drinking Steins and like
yeah. You
know, you might even see a pair of titties.
Oh, that'd be my dream. Yeah.
You watch there's a couple of people having a fight, you know, like it's a bit of everything.
A bit of everything, yeah. Well, I think the government has something to do with that too. Like in Norway, the government was like, congratulations, it's over. Let's go out. Let's have a good time. Like they were sort of promoting that people should be feeling good. But here in Australia and in Victoria, you know, they always announce an easing of restrictions, but it's never like right now. It's always 11:59 on a Thursday night or something, you know. So it's.
I admire what Norway did because it's for obvious reasons, but it's bad parenting. Like you know, Melbourne. Although I despise what the government has done there, they have done you know, solid parenting, which means like just totally putting, you know, pouring water over anyone's good time, like, you know, setting, you know, restrictions to ease at really dumb times that make that sort of nudge you towards not going out and getting on the beers, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, so they're real, and policing people's language. I love that Melbourne. Several people in up high were suggesting that it's not Freedom Day, and it's like, excuse me, you don't get to tell me how to talk. If I want to call, you know, today the day of the Fairy Queen, then that is the day. Like, you don't get to tell me what I fucking call the day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's not Freedom Day. It's not a Freedom Day. Come on. Don't, you know, and you go, well, you're kind of right, because you're not giving us that much more than being able to leave our home.
Yeah.
It's not Freedom Day. But if I want to call it that, then fuck you. I'm bummed out. I need to...
Don't cut it off there. I've actually got part two coming up.
More.
There's more. So, in part two, I actually pinned down an interview with a guy in De Graves Lane. There is a famous sort of soup. It's called the Soup Place, and it's like a little cafe that sells soup. It does other stuff too. But I got an interview with the owner's dad there, just randomly walking past. I asked if he'd want to chat, and we had a bit of a lengthy chat there. So I chat to him, and I also you won't hear this in the audio, but I did chat to some buskers that I really wanted to get an interview with, just because I think the music and entertainment sector has really been affected by all this stuff, and I wanted to get their their perspective on it, and again, very suspicious, and wanted to see the podcast. The guy's like, show me the podcast.
Show me the podcast.
Like, he wanted to see it, and so I had to open Apple Podcasts.
The icon and everything?
Yeah, but I was trying to like scroll through it quickly so we couldn't get too many of the titles and stuff, and
so he wouldn't see that Team Turf woke confessional.
Woke confessional. Well, he saw the woke confessional. He was like, "What's that?" So, and again, it's hard. I'm not going to stand there and explain every fucking episode to you. It's like, and I chatted to him. I said one of the points I made is that whenever there's a disaster like a bushfire or a big weather event, like musicians come out in droves to donate their time for benefits and for fundraising. And, we do that generously. And as soon as it's the other way around, when there's a situation that really affects us, like we're the last to get any sort of consideration financially, any sort of help. And, I did post him. I was like, I'd like to see a benefit where lawyers and architects get together and, help out the music community. And he was very receptive to my sort of tongue-in-cheek idea there. He thought it was funny. But then at the same time, he was like, oh, you weren't recording that, were you? So he seemed really concerned that that the powers that be here in Melbourne might stop him from getting an arts grant or something.
But no, that's what it is though, isn't it? It's like he clearly also writes for an online review place, like he does reviews for something, and he also puts in Arts Council grants or whatever, and he has to do, like, that's the thing, like that in Australia, like, it's so corrupt that if you say anything and it's out there, you're never getting funding whatsoever ever.
That's
again.
right. Yeah,
that's over, 100% over, done. That's why I didn't want to speak to you.
Well, here's my little part 2.
And you've got to turn people away that aren't double rated.
Right. Yes.
And there's other things that are working second, and it's brought on so quick.
Yep.
And you're struggling with money and to get people.
Yep.
And then you'll have 2 couples come up, one's double, the other's not. You've got to tell them to go away.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really, really hard.
Yeah. Have you had much pushback from customers? People disappointed?
Now they understand it, but it's just so hard when you want them to come and sit down, but because of that rule, and they understand. And a lot of them have had one, so they're already booked into the second, obviously.
That's right, yeah.
And then, like everyone, if you ring up, they say, no, we can't.
Yeah, I know personally I had a very hard time just trying to book in a vaccination. Yeah.
So it might be easy for the government to say, just bring it forward, but you just can't because you've gone to a certain place.
I have also heard that that's created staffing issues as well for a lot of venues.
So I mean, you can't fully open anyway because of all these ripple effects that's come from that. So not only you're turning customers away, your staff members, they're scrambling to try and get their second one to come to work. So you're shutting hours, shutting early, stuff like that. So it's just a soul destroying when you want people to come back and they can't. And you say sorry. You're going to get fined.
Do you think maybe the government should have made it a one vaccination? Like if you've had your first, you can go out.
Tradies went back like that. So it's like one rule for one and one rule for the others. But not only that, it was never really told 2 or 3 months ago that this is when we're going to open, this is what you're going to be required. It's like making rules on the run. And I mean, if everyone knew 3 months ago that, right, we're going to open up at this particular time, then they had time to get the second. Like, how many people were honestly trying to do the right thing and they just couldn't get there? So that's really bad. I mean, the suburbs really held up a lot better than the inner city, but in here we need to tick certain boxes, and some of them haven't been ticked. We need international tourists to come in. When the domestic people that fly in for different events in Melbourne, whether it's on the banks or the football and all that, tennis, they've gone free, but also because of the borders gone closed, all the accommodation closed, So and the locals don't really come in. I mean, a few do, but and then we open up, and yet, like I said, you look, it's blocked down the end here. It's no full traffic because Myers isn't open. So we more are saying it's kind of we all should open at the same time. We open up 2 weeks early, but we really need those type of things so people come in from Myers and
Yeah, definitely.
Brewery, because that's another box. So most of our life has been on the tradies.
Yes, yeah.
Really, I mean, if you look at it, they were like 5 or 10% of your trade, and all of a sudden they went to the top. They were your 100% at the moment because we didn't have all these other places going. You know, once you get back to full swing, they drop down the list. So these are really small places, and you normally it's pretty hard to put all the people want to make money to have staff on because. Normally you say 50 or 60 people, they've got the distancing and all that.
Yeah. Because your place isn't huge here. Like probably fit with social distancing. What 10 maybe or
But you can't really have too much staff on or make a lot of make money to pay rent if you can only put 10 people. So you're not allowed to put tables and chairs down here.
Yeah. So you're not allowed to put anything on the footpath here.
No.
Yeah.
The only reason we do sometimes is because they're not open. We sit temporary over there. This is it.
Yes, yeah. I hope things work out. I hope things open up. And thanks so much for your time. And I hope everything works out for you. Awesome. Thanks, mate. Cheers. So I'm out the front of the State Library here in Melbourne. There's lots of people hanging out, kind of enjoying the sun and having some food. And there's actually some really good buskers doing some Irish jigs and sort of really up-tempo Irish music, and which is really fantastic. But I wanted to get an interview with those guys because I think musicians have been hit pretty hard by the pandemic, and they were very reluctant to go on the record. So that's kind of the story of my day here. It's been really tough to get people to talk to me. Like, as soon as they see the microphone, the hand goes up and people walk away. So it's a really tough gig. I don't know how people do it. But I've been here for, 4 hours or something, and I think I might call it a day. A bit tired of getting rejected here. It's awful. I might have to send you out here, Astro, one day, or maybe you can do a similar thing in Sydney and see how you fare. Maybe you've just got the common touch, I don't know. But long live the new flesh. All right, well, that was my day out in the Melbourne CBD. Depressing. I need to pick me up.
All right. How about some news?
Sheila!
Aloha, fellas.
I need some news. What's been happening in the world?
So much. Honestly, Daily Mail. I don't know what's going on over there.
No, you don't have to say the name like it's pejorative. You just say the news. Just say the news has been.
No, because I only look at the Daily Mail.
That's what I mean.
They've got the most outrageous headlines. All right, here we go. Starting off. Spanish Secret Service injected King Juan Carlos with testosterone blockers to control his rampant sex drive, says ex-police chief after claims royal had 5,000 lovers.
That's a classic tabloid style, like it's Valentino, sort of, 1,000 lovers.
Virile. He's a virile man.
Yeah, well, from what I can see, they said they gave him female hormones, and that they did it because it became a state problem. His sex drive became a state problem.
Well, he's again another person who's met the moment. Like, I mean, that he should be given an award of courage for being, I don't know, like. No, given the highest honor like a woman can get, like Woman of the Year or something. That's what we do now.
But I don't think he knew that they were giving it to him.
Well, some of these kids, they don't know either. I said it.
That was very good. That was actually very good.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Incredible moment. 12 zookeepers wrestle sex-obsessed 350-kilogram monster reptile named Kanye to alligator jail until he cools off and stops attacking other animals.
More Kanye news.
Now, Kanye has come out of hibernation and he is...
So this is an alligator.
So, yeah. He's so horny that he's having a crack at everyone and they've had to remove him.
I love going to alligator jail.
Well, alligator jail.
Sounds terrible.
Think
about what he's done, you know?
Sounds like the zookeepers need to give him a hand.
Well, you pig. One of the quotes is Kanye has made the other alligators very tense. He's a young bloke full of testosterone and he's raising havoc right now. So the best thing to do is send him to the naughty corner for some time out. So
yes, well, you know, it is difficult when you're dealing with kind of actual dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, okay, next up. Breastfeeding my boyfriend viewers left grimacing over sucking and squelching noises in bizarre Channel 4 documentary.
Sorry. Let's stop right there.
Yeah.
I got to ask all the people who objected. Did you not read the TV guide properly? Is it not? Did you not get what it says on the tin? Like, if you don't, if I tune into breastfeeding my boyfriend and I don't get squelching and sucking, then I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I want my money back.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not paying my license fee this year.
The opening line is, breastfeeding my boyfriend viewers were left grimacing after hearing the sound of an adult man suckling milk from his partner's breasts.
Reminds me of that scene in Me, Myself, and Irene. Yes,
I knew it.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. Really, you remember that bit when he's in the supermarket and there's a woman with big bazungas.
Yeah.
And it cuts to Jim Carrey's character. He just appears and he's down sucking her bosom.
Yeah. What, are you trying to remind me?
No, I'm just reminding everyone.
I was going to say, I remember that. I've seen all of those gross, Freddie got fingered, all of those. I've seen them all.
All right.
Okay. Mother stuns TikTok after revealing she made udder butter out of her own breast milk and fed it to her husband on toast while proudly describing it as her crowning achievement.
Did it taste good though?
Oh, I don't know.
That's editorial. The Daily Mail doesn't do editorial like that. Okay. They just give you just the facts, ma'am. Okay, they can tell you that she made udder butter, but they can't tell you whether it was a hit or not.
Well, in a follow-up video, she and her husband tried the butter on toast, and while he didn't mind it, she thought it kind of tastes like throw up.
So this is a niche website. This is obviously kink. Yeah, is this kink?
This is the Daily Mail.
Right.
Okay.
Kink.
But those actions of what they're doing of taking things and making them, but this is fetish website stuff.
Well, I mean, no, this is part of the brave new world of just, doing.
So I've got to get on board.
You just got to get on board.
Is this what the environmentalists want? Is this a milk product that vegans can get behind?
Yeah, and this is just women being fucking women. Okay.
All right. Hey, again, it reminds me of another movie in Borat when he goes to the White House to meet with some representative, and they do the sharing of the ceremonial cheese, and the cheese is made from Borat's wife's tit.
Oh, God.
I'm banishing Sacha Baron Cohen to jail. In other words, Perth, where he now lives.
He does.
I thought you were going to banish Ricky for his outrageous behaviour this morning.
Nothing I can do about Ricky. Okay, moving on.
Year 12 students who sparked outrage by dressing as Islamic terrorists, complete with headpieces and guns, to muck up day at a Catholic college, won best dressed at the event.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, if you can't tell me that the 9/11 bombers didn't sort of muck everything up, then I don't know, what's true. So that they mucked it up. On muck up day, these guys dressed up as terrorists. I've made the connection,
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I honestly thought we were a little bit further along than this.
But they won. The people have spoken.
I think that's just other misguided students.
Right. So you don't believe in democratic votes. You believe that if your side doesn't win, it's not. It's stolen.
No, but they're not old enough to vote. They don't know what they're doing.
All right.
All right?
No, it's an extreme look.
I think if you can't go to jail for murder, then you can't legally be held responsible for your idiotic choices. But
yeah. Where was this, sorry?
This was just in Castle Hill at the Gilroy Catholic College.
This is in Australia?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. I know. As I said, I thought we were, as a society, a little bit further along than this, but never mind.
My brother's year for Muck Up Day got a male stripper to come to the school's assembly.
Right. That's great.
That's fucking awesome.
That was huge.
I'm surprised your brother hasn't been tracked down because that's a sexual crime now.
People to be honest, I don't think he had anything to do with the booking of the strippers.
Well, I'm not trying to put your brother on the dock. I'm just saying that, I'm just saying that nowadays, if you bring a Chippendale to a school assembly and say, have at it, gyrate your hips at those teachers and the kids, I think that it would be like a Godzilla movie. People would be screaming, running, saying, I'm triggered.
No, wouldn't that be acceptable now, though? I'm confused. I thought that would be...
Oh, wait.
That would be good.
Depends.
That would be good now, but not back then.
No, I don't know. It depends on who's getting horny and who's not. Do you know what I mean?
So if the guys are getting horny, it's good.
No.
No?
No, male sexual response is generally frowned upon.
So it's only if the girls are getting...
Oh, if it's empowering and it's sex work, then maybe they can get hot. But if they're not, if there's no sex work involved, or if it's not like, I don't know, fatties or something, then I don't know. I don't know what to
Oh my God, I can't believe you're saying fatties.
If it was a fat male stripper...
yeah, that's beautiful.
That would be all right?
Yeah,
that'd be hot. I'm kind of into fat guys. So larger boned gentlemen I'm into.
Well, yeah, you live in the right place. Melbourne is the dad body capital of Australia.
I'm into it. I am. I used to love Chris Penn. I used to love him.
Yeah, a disgraceful body. Yep.
Yeah. Well, for our muck up day, our year 12s burnt giant dicks into the ovals with weed killer.
Classic.
That's amazing. That joke will never get old. I think cavemen probably did it, like, put rocks down in the shape of dicks and then laughed like it was pointing towards one of their mates. And I think it'll be funny in 2,000 years, aliens will come down and they'll see crop circles that we put there of giant dicks. It will never go out of style. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to mean like they're going to do pictures of their like 3-headed dicks or something. That's still going to be funny, like.
Yeah, that's good.
And they'll all be in their ship laughing their asses off with the crop circles just going, my dick, yes. Look at it.
Maybe that's what the crop circles are.
That's
Look
what I
at
just
it
thought
in
about.
its 3-headed glory,
I just thought about that. Ricky said it. Like, but what if we discovered that crop circles all were just, they're weird looking dicks?
Could be.
Spirals and diamonds. All right, moving on from the dicks, quick.
For your pleasure, for the ladies' pleasure. Okay. Woman is branded despicable after posing for sexy Instagram photos at her father's funeral in front of his open casket and then posting them with the hashtag dadless.
What?
He was a veteran.
That's great.
He was a veteran as well.
I just didn't think you could make the word dadless sexy. You know? Dadless. Like, it sounds like bottomless. Dadless.
Yeah.
So does that mean now all the suitors now don't have to worry about, the surly father, like
the shotgun father?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. No, look, there's a proud tradition of inappropriate sort of influencer selfies going on. But are we led to believe it was a popular post or not really?
Oh, well, I mean, it has now obviously gone viral because she's a titty woman, and her dad, who's partially visible in the background, is draped in an American flag.
It's pretty rock and roll, though, isn't it? Like it's. I mean,
She's even doing one where she's sticking her booty out, and you can see her dad's dead arms. You can't see his head because her booty's there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to psychoanalyze, but I suspect she might have daddy issues.
She's got a few issues, I'd say.
Like, let's face it, she's probably like crazy. Like, we can't say that, and I know you can't say people are crazy, but she's crazy.
Yeah, you get that. I don't think. Yeah, no, you're very correct. You're not allowed to say
I know.
Crazy anymore.
Okay, no, but put it in the terms. Okay, if you had a friend and they were dating her, what would you say privately? Would you say, "Oh, I think she's a bit loose," or would you say she's crazy?
I think I'm so bored by people now. I would say I'm enjoying everything that she's about.
Yeah,
I think she's off her head and good for her.
Yeah, fair enough.
All I want to know is, does she have an OnlyFans?
She probably does. I'll dig it up for you.
It should be called Dadless as well. Like that would be, and that could have been the first post,
Yeah.
The hashtags are #Dadless, #Veteran, #PTSD, #Funeral, #Never Forgotten.
Oh,
well. There you go. Respectful. All right, guys, here we go. Caitlyn Jenner says Dave Chappelle is 100% right to face down angry transgender mob over his new Netflix special, and says backlash against him is woke cancel culture run amok, trying to silence free speech. By the way, DM, your non-use of commas or full stops is an absolute disgrace. This is like, I had to insert breaths just then.
Right. It's really just a listing of tags, isn't it?
Yeah,
honestly.
It's for search engine optimization.
It is.
Alex Hammer. Alex Hammer for dailymail.com, for frig's sake.
All right. Well, that's a great story. I agree with all of that.
I do, yeah. I who would have thought that Caitlyn Jenner would be someone who is a bit of a champion in this sphere,
Well, I suspect Sheila, you watched a bit of the show maybe when it first started or something, right?
Yeah, I did.
Has Caitlyn's politics changed at all?
I don't think so, but Caitlyn has, and even when Caitlyn was Bruce, always seemed like a very level-headed individual.
Sure.
I know she's a bit sort of maybe Trump crazy these days, but she always seemed quite even-tempered. Even when there was fucking fuckery going on around her, that she's always sort of kept an even keel. I thought.
Well, I think she's certainly taking some bold positions now, but I think that's great. Like, and she's a real thorn in the side for people on the hard left,
because she won't conform and fall in where she's supposed to. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, look, I've got one last one for you, and then I'm off.
Right.
Lesbians feel pressured into having sex with trans women over.
Who's trolling us today? This is trolling what you're doing. Okay?
Shut up.
The news. I came here for the news. This is trolling. Okay.
Shut up.
Line. Go on.
Over fears of being branded transphobic, while those who refuse face death threats, claim activists.
It's true.
Wow.
It's happening.
It is true, yeah.
It's true.
Well, look, I'm just me. I'm a nobody, but my advice to everyone in this sphere would be, peeps, everyone's getting rejected for sex. I've been rejected for sex more times than you've had hot breakfast. It's not exclusive to you. You don't need to send death threats to the people who are rejecting you for sex. It's just they don't want to have sex with you. Okay. It's not it's not exclusive to you. We're all getting rejected for sex.
But I just never thought we'd live in an era when lesbians, a minority group, are persecuted because they don't want to accept a member, into them. Like, if I can put it,
I'm married. I don't want to either. Sorry, Glenn. Sorry.
Yes, well,
but seriously, I mean,
it's hilarious though.
I never.
It?
Yeah.
And
well,
the argument,
you go.
No. I think you're going to say something worse, so you go.
Well, the old thing used to be, old balls guys would look at lesbians and go, oh, they just need a good shag. It is kind of what's happening now. They just need a really good right rogering from a guy with a big cock.
No, from a beautiful trans woman, and
with a big cock.
Well, I mean, your words. I'm not focusing on how big it is.
But I've been in a lesbian relationship, and sorry, I'm just going to bring.
No, I want to hear this. Go on.
You don't. You can just like go down on each other. Like if you don't have to have, the dick involved.
No, I know what you're saying. No, you're being quite charitable and generous, but the argument from lesbians and gay men have had the same charges thrown at them. Their argument is, well, from the gay man's perspective, they say, look, despite what you may think, I'm actually attracted to male bodies. Yes, genitals, but male bodies. It's like the whole thing, because if you've been through puberty and you were a biological male, or a biological female or something, then you're going to have that, you're going to have leftovers. No matter how hard people tried, you're going to have signs, that you were a female at some point. You know what I mean? And a gay man may not be into that. Now, look, sometimes the work might be fantastic, but it's just, I just think this is a fascinating sort of Chinese finger trap.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it had set you guys off like a box of frogs.
It did.
So, a box of frogs with chilies in it.
All right.
Hey, before you go, we've got a hippo update, don't we? The cocaine hippos.
Yes, but I'm not doing it because you took the piss out of the way I said female hippo last week.
I did too.
If you think I don't listen to that bloody show, I know that you took the piss out of my accent.
It was
so
great.
You can update it.
I'll update you. I'll update everyone out there. The cocaine hippos are safe. They've been deemed physical people or something, like they're
real
citizens now. Real
persons.
That's it. Right. They're real persons now.
Actual persons. Yes.
Okay.
So they're protected. I think everyone knows that even though they are environmental vandals, that they're bringing a lot of cash to the area. Like Escobar himself, their dad. They're just honouring their dad. They're bringing cash to the area.
Community leader. Okay. Well, thanks, Sheila. Thanks for the news.
Okay. See you.
See you next time. If you enjoy what we do here on the New Flesh podcast, there are a number of ways you can contribute to the success of the show. Consider supporting us financially by becoming a Patreon member and donating monthly or yearly. Alternatively, you can donate money through the Buy Me a Coffee platform. If you're strapped for cash at this point in time, there are a number of other ways to support the New Flesh. You can give us a rating or review through Apple Podcasts. These help others to find our show and help spread the word. Or you can tell your friends about us. Don't underestimate the power of a podcast recommendation. And now, back to the show. All right, John, going to pass the baton to you now. I think you've got something you want to talk about. You got something you want to get off your chest.
I do. Okay, so I've been listening to a podcast that I've been putting everyone onto. It's called Nolan Investigates Stonewall. It's a 10-part podcast. It's fantastic. It's by a radio presenter called Stephen Nolan from Ireland. He's an award-winning host on BBC Radio Ulster. He's dogged. He's also quite highly paid. I looked up. I think he's getting £400 a year for
£400,000.
Yes, 400,000. Sorry. Oops. £400,000 a year for his radio and TV work. So anyway, here's the Cliff's Notes. So the podcast is about Stonewall. So what's Stonewall? Stonewall is a famous gay rights lobby group that has charity status. Its purpose is LGBT rights. I think they're probably going to try and change that to add a few of the other letters, but for the moment, it is just LGBT rights. It was formulated in 1989. I think they're having a sort of a 32-year anniversary this year. So they are now all in on the trans and sort of gender ideology, stuff. But they have achieved quite a bit as a lobby group. Like they were there presumably for same-sex, what used to be called same-sex marriage. Don't even think you can probably call it that now. It's probably banned. Same-sex marriage, getting gay people in the military and, changing conditions in the workplace, discrimination, all of that stuff, okay? So the podcast is an investigation into this lobby group. Also consider themselves world experts on LGBT matters and corporate. Now they're also corporate trainers. So they offer like sort of training and advice, and to a lot of different places. I'm pretty sure universities, the police, BBC, Ofcom, which is a television regulator in the in the UK. So in short, Stephen Nolan, this reporter and his producers and editors, his team, they discover through a lot of digging that Stonewall, this lobby group, offers a kind of league table or sort of a leaderboard of LGBT-friendly companies. So the idea is that if you've got good conditions and good policies for LGBT people, then you can go up this ranking, move up in the ranking. Now, there's also a bit of a carrot. You can move up the ranking potentially if you join the Diversity Champions scheme. This is a scheme in which Stonewall offers advice and training for an annual fee. So they're accepting money. You know what I mean? So they're not just like standing idly by. You give them money and then they can offer you training and advice. Stonewall is also revealed to be a very powerful lobby group, but also a shrewd corporate training machine with a total corner on this market when you think about it.
Mm.
This might be fine for private businesses. Perhaps if you're a private business and you want to engage a particular lobby group to do stuff for you, I can't see there being much of a problem with that. But the problem that these guys have discovered is that the BBC and Ofcom and public institutions and whatnot, they really should be aiming for a level of transparency. They're not allowed to be seen to be giving a favour to any particular group, a lobby group, because there are lobby groups for everything out there. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've got a business and they throw everything, like if the BBC suddenly put all their we're taking advice and giving money to a Zionist lobby group, well, that would be seen to be a problem, wouldn't it? Because wouldn't people say, wait a minute, the issues in the Middle East in Israel are sort of contentious, and you can't be seen to be throwing your weight and whatever behind one particular group. So there's the conflict of interest in a lone lobby group sort of self-appointing themselves as world experts and demanding everyone consult with them about LGBT issues, and then publishing a list of good companies and accepting money from businesses looking to work their way up the rankings. So, as I've said, some of their positions are contested and are actually being debated right now. This is not settled stuff. So about 5 years ago, Stonewall threw their weight behind gender, the new gender ideology and self-identification, the idea that you can just say you are a woman or a man, and to whatever. And also they, have bought into all of those, that entire rainbow of gender pronouns and all that stuff. They also believe that this sort of gender self-identification trumps biological sex at all points. So they, have endorsed the entire spectrum of gender, and have most likely gotten the BBC to use the Genderbread Man, which is this sort of teaching tool for children to indoctrinate. I mean, teach them about all the different genders out there, and but they've also driven many gay and lesbian people, old-fashioned gay and lesbian people. Many of those people who actually were there at the beginnings of this particular organisation, out of the organisation, and famously they refuse to debate. So they will not debate on these issues, and they've written about that, which I find to be absolutely fascinating, that they will not engage or debate about that.
This is such an important issue of our time that people do really need to come out and speak about it.
Have public bodies across the UK been captured by Stonewall?
Stonewall was founded 30 years ago to campaign for gay and lesbian rights.
The Scottish Government, they have removed mother from their maternity policy after Stonewall asked them to.
I don't think it's appropriate that any government agency has a relationship with a very militant, one-sided campaigning group.
And even the people who do the census, how much have they been persuaded by Stonewall?
It's the ONS and the leader of the ONS that ends up having egg on their face. Stonewall are nowhere to be seen.
The decision to join the Stonewall scheme was taken before the new Director General, Tim Davie, arrived at the BBC. And he has warned impartiality will be, must be, at the core of what the BBC does.
My role as the Director General is to absolutely make sure that the BBC's impartiality is first and foremost protected.
Stonewall, a lobby group. They're doing nothing wrong. They lobby. But did any of these big organisations really dig deep and question Stonewall's advice? Even Parliament, they signed up to Stonewall's league table. Should they have done? Here's the former Speaker, John Burke.
This year, Stonewall has announced that we have achieved a place in its index of the top 100 LGBT-friendly employers.
And this league table, created, judged and scored by Stonewall? Should public bodies have got themselves into the situation where they're totally endorsing its credibility by publicly wanting to climb up it?
Ricky, what do you think of all this?
Well, first of all, the podcast is fascinating. They've done a really good job. They've done a lot of research. They've been digging around. I don't know how long it's taken them to get it together, but it sounds like they've been working on uncovering some of this stuff for some time. And I've never really listened to any Northern Irish radio, but these guys, they're funny. But they're also very good at what they do. I think there are a number of issues with Stonewall, like the fact that they've pivoted to gender rather than sex-based rights is a problem. What's happened here is that if you accept that there's no such thing as sex but only self-identifying gender, then same-sex attracted people are essentially erased. So they've kind of deleted their core constituency, which sort of set it up and were fighting for gay rights in the beginning, because that was more about sex and same-sex attractiveness. And they're moving it now to gender, which is still such a contentious issue, And I think it's interesting, back, I think it was in 2013, the Coalition Party in the UK, they passed the Gay Marriage Act, which basically put the nail in the coffin of this whole issue. Like, the battle for gay rights was essentially won. Gay people get married now. They're recognized in law. Like they've got all the same sort of rights as straight couples. So that sort of, closes the book on that chapter. But then when you've got a big organization like Stonewall that, employs people, and, there are lots of people there that are passionate about being someone that's fighting for, equality and for, noble causes, like what are they going to do next? Where are they going to go? And obviously that's got them pivoting towards transgender stuff. But so that's one issue. But the other one is, their full infiltration into government agencies where, places like the BBC consider them the experts, which is a bit strange because there's no real settled science to gender at all. So to say that there are experts is a bit far, to call them experts. And they essentially don't consult with any other sort of groups on their language and stuff like that.
Such as the LGBT Alliance, for example.
So you've got this other organization that is very young. I think it's only about a year old, maybe even 6 months old. That's been set up by, I think, a couple of lesbian women set this up, and they're battling hard for LGB rights and sex-based rights rather than transgender. And they've got a whole bunch of, issues that, they're issues that are floating around. I mean, we talk about them all the time, trans athletes and women only spaces and stuff like that, born males being able to now go, if they're criminals and they're, they're going to jail, like being able to be housed in female prisons, stuff like that. So they're asking all those sorts of questions. And as you said, Stonewall don't debate anyone. So you can't really battle these things out in public, really. But what I just finished the podcast today, actually, and the last episode where they uncover that the BBC have essentially redefined what it means to be gay and what it means to be lesbian based on what Stonewall's telling them in terms of language and the way that they should be approaching that.
Just one thing to point out why this is important and why this language is important to us as journalists. You know how tricky it is when we're doing these debates. And we've debated the very issue of whether or not it's transphobic for a gay person to not to want to date a trans person, for example. Well, if you go by the BBC Style Guide, that's closed off, that's decided. Homosexuality, according to the BBC, is about people who are attracted to people of the same gender. So that controversial debate is now summed up in the BBC Style Guide, and they've made their position really clear.
If a gay male, in the BBC's wording now, that means they're attracted not to someone with male genitalia, but to someone also who says, I'm a man, whether they have a vagina and breasts or not.
This is really essentially what the whole trans issue is. It's about sex versus gender, really, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. So it's there's just scores of gay and lesbian people who don't agree with that definition and who were perfectly happy with the way things were in that 5 minutes after they got equal rights, and now when they're being asked to accept something they just can't get on board with.
Yeah.
So, but just a little bit of context here. This is a great little excerpt from Unheard, an essay by Johnny Best. It's Stonewall's greatest betrayal. So here it is. But this good-natured debate is an excerpt, is as nothing compared to the division that has opened up in lesbian and gay communities following Stonewall's 2015 decision to reformulate homosexuality around the nebulous concept of gender identity. Its policy today, which it has promoted through its diversity champion scheme, is that biological sex is less important than self-declared gender identity, an inner feeling of being either man, woman, male, or female, which, according to Stonewall, is an identity we all possess. It follows that biological males can be lesbians, biological females can be gay men. To disagree is transphobic. Today, the no debate shield is starting to fail. This is largely down to all those women who refuse to concede that a man who claims to identify as a woman counts as a woman in exactly the same way as a biological female does. Stonewall's stance on gender identity and the public consultation on the GRA in 2018 created some powerfully angry grassroots women organisations such as Women's Place UK and Fair Play for Women. It also produced the LGB Alliance, founded by seasoned lesbian activists Kate Harris and Bev Jackson. This means that there are now 2 lobbying charities aiming to represent lesbian and gay people. Stonewall, which argues that the policies and principles of LGB Alliance prioritising biological sex over gender identity are transphobic, and LGB Alliance, which argues that the policies and principles of Stonewall, prioritising gender identity over biological sex, are homophobic. Stonewall's at the centre of this toxic debate. So the idea is that this is contested. Now we've got another lobbying group. So, and once they get charitable status, why should the BBC not consult with them? Do you know what I mean? And, it's awkward that they've got completely opposing views there. And the BBC at several points has been rubber stamping whatever Stonewall suggested about definitions or recommendations.
And why is that a problem? Why is it a problem that the BBC would adopt policies and languages from a lobby group?
Well, they're meant to be seen to be impartial. You know what I mean? And lobby groups are, as Stephen Nolan has said, are perfectly fine to be able to lobby for what they want. I mean, like if you set up a group that says, "My name's Ricky, I love foot jobs, and I want everyone to just do foot jobs all the time." It's just a hypothetical.
Foot gender.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's your kink. I mean, your way of life, whatever. So anyway, then you'd say you can go out and lobby for that, and you can push as hard as you want. But when public institutions, start, coming to you and saying, getting advice and wanting to go up your leaderboard and, paying you for training, and there are some elements of your particular group that are, well, to be charitable, they're quite radical. Like there are elements of Stonewall, particularly after that 2015 pivot, that are quite radical. To be frank with you, not many people believe what they believe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like this, and which isn't to say that everyone is a bigot and a transphobe. Most people, I think, would be like, yeah, just get on with it, like do whatever, and we'll do our best. But the Stonewall are pushing really hard on some stuff that has no scientific backing, and the BBC, they have a big country to service.
Yes, they do.
And, very diverse. And as they keep discovering, they're quite out of touch with the people in the UK, as they have discovered. Do you know what I mean?
Here's Benjamin Cohen from Pink News again. The identities that people give themselves and identify as, for example, Two-Spirit, right? I'm a 48-year-old man. I have no idea what Two-Spirit means. Is there any control over what these definitions mean? Like, what does Two-Spirit mean, and who decides what is Two-Spirit and what isn't? And again, without me being facetious, could someone tomorrow say that they're being Three-Spirit?
I understand your point, that I'm 10 years younger than you, and this is also difficult for, I guess, us older people sometimes to navigate because terminology does change. I first heard the term Two-Spirit when I was at an event with Canada's High Commissioner and Canada's LGBT envoy, and it's a Canadian term, and it's actually from the kind of Native American. It has Native American origins in Canada, so it derives from there.
But what does it mean?
Oh God! You're testing me, and I probably couldn't give you the dictionary definition.
But just can you give me a sense of what it means? So if someone comes to me and says I'm Two-Spirit, what does it actually mean?
It's how they're describing themselves.
But I will say to you, and maybe I haven't given you a tough enough time in this interview, but the fact that the person at the very top of Pink News does not know what Two-Spirit means, and I'm supposed to know, and society's supposed to expect it, is surely extraordinary.
Well, this league table is concerning because you basically set up a competition where different organisations are trying to climb up this leaderboard and be seen as the most virtuous and the most progressive, and they've built in this feedback loop where the Stonewall will give their feedback on where they're at in terms of, you know, their progressiveness towards transgender issues, and then suggests that, you know, they do this course or that course, or will bring in some people to train you at a price, of course, you know. So not only are they marking you on how you're going on the leaderboard, they're also teaching you or providing courses at a cost to, you know, help get you up there as well.
And what are the chances that you'd ever go to them and they'd say, oh, you know what, we've checked it all out and you're pretty good, it's great, nothing to see here, nothing to report, top marks? Like, unlikely, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's like when these government, or like when these football clubs or whatever, they go, look, we've discovered, you know, got a racism problem maybe, or like, you know, some racist stuff was said in the stands or whatever, so we decided to get an impartial group, a third party, to come in and check out our organization. They're called You're a Mob of Racists group. And we look forward to hearing what the findings will be. And then you go, well, I think I know what the findings will be.
I know, yeah.
I don't need to. And that's no besmirching. You may very well have a problem, but that doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, this particular group is going to tell you. They in fact, their business relies on telling you that you're a bunch of racists.
Yeah, it's a whole industry now. There's a whole industry built around this. You know, my wife Venga, at her work, they recently had a thing where an organization had to come in and basically run these. Oh, and it went for so long as well. Like this one particular lecture was like 4 hours long, and it's all about transgender stuff. And so basically, the organization had to undergo this course and had to pass this course so that they could display some sort of coveted symbol on their or beside their logo, and that they could wear the badges that say, you know, I support. Yeah, that exactly. So they could wear the badges and you know, have all the stuff and put the signs up saying this is a safe space for trans people and everything. You know, it's like, and you know, the majority of people, they don't have an issue with trans people, and you know, if you can be whoever you want to be, like everyone's respectful, and you know, I'm sure there are a few cases here and there where, you know, people are openly transphobic or whatever, but I think on the whole,
speak for yourself.
On the whole, do you need this big money making industry around this? You know, which Stonewall, you know, I know nothing about their finances, but I can assume
£4 million.
They're pretty cashed up. Yeah,
they got cash. So I think the takeaway really is I want everyone to listen to it and spread this far and wide, because to me the point isn't really LGBT radicals or even Stonewall. Do you know what I mean? Like I think what Stonewall have done in the past sounds glorious, and I want there to be better rights for LGBT people. I do. And I think we're going to come to a middle point where everyone's happy at some point. But I think this is striking because it shows us how to approach the failures of institutions and to approach these matters robustly and transparently. And that's what these podcasters have tried to do. And it's really inspiring. So, you know, at no point do they entertain the idea of, because you keep expecting them to be labelled or branded, right? But at no point do they entertain that. They just push on and say, no, we're going to robustly, and they hold everyone to account. There's some pejoratives used by someone at the LGBT Alliance, and then Nolan pulls that guy into line and says, no, come on, play it straight. Don't use that kind of language. Like, we're trying to give everyone a fair shake. And I thought that was really good. You've got to hold everyone to account. So they give us a template on how to ask tough questions, you know, not just the people who are annoying, like the ideologues at Pink News.
I've got that in my notes to talk about Pink News.
He's really tough to listen to, that guy, like, you know, sort of a toff who works at Pink News. And, you know, but the thing is, you know, obviously you want tough questions to be put to him and watch him squirm. But, you know, it's really about putting tough questions to even the people that you like, you know, that you're, and, maybe start with yourself first, you know, and we joke around on this show a lot. And but if you ever sat me down and, like, you know, actually I got to ask myself the tough questions and say, what do I really believe, you know, like, and why do I believe it, and where did I get that information, and am I asking myself tough enough questions, and am I ever, you know, going too far into ideology or whatever. Because that's the thing. Ideology is in the way of truth. And, you know, I don't like to hear about the Labor Party and their overreach in Victoria. That's uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? I like the Labor Party. So it's more important that I scrutinize them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the only issue I've got with this is that Stephen Nolan's rich. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's that. He's rich and established. Now, that is the only problem. So I don't know how we're meant to apply this rigor if we don't have his situation. You know what I mean? It's a bit like Chappelle and Stephen Nolan are doing the same thing right now. They're really fighting a tough, difficult battle, but they have the resources and the position to be able to do it. So, like Wenger, for instance, can't fight this fight. She got fired.
Yeah.
So, but I think possibly, there's going to have to be bodies. You know what I mean? I think the idea is that they can't shoot us all at once. But the fact is that some of us will definitely get shot. That's the fact. So some people, we are going to need to accept that people are going to get shot, metaphorically speaking, and you're just going to have to step on their body and keep going. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, well, it's a great documentary. I'm going to put a link to it in our show notes. I hope you guys check it out.
Next week, we've got Demons on Cyberb Cinema on Wednesday. And I don't know. I don't think we've got anything slated for Thursday. I have to talk about that after.
Don't worry. We'll find something.
Yeah,
There's always something out there.
There's always an outrage.
There is.
All right. Well, I suspect we said what we said.
Long live the new flesh.
Long live the new flesh. All right, moving on from the dicks, quick.
The Daily Kink. Hello, that'll be my dream. 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 Hello.